And in that moment that we're talking, Will turns around and he goes, "You know that young girl?" And he described her to me. And she's African American. And I said, "Yeah, I know her." I said, "She comes in here all the time." "Yeah, she wanted a job here, but she wasn't old enough yet. And so I told her she needed to be 16 in order for me to hire her. But I haven't seen her." I'm like, "Oh, I see her all the time." It's like God is like, "One moment, please. You're needed." So this young man and his son, the man and his son leave. And I'm going around the corner, and the girl that me and my boss were just talking about comes walking in the door. And I'm like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And she goes, "You know the girl that I'm always with?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Was she here today?" I'm like, "No, she didn't come in today." And I was like, "Hey, so my boss told me that," I said, "Are you still interested in working here?" And she lit up. She goes, "Yes." I'm like, "Okay, are you 16 yet?" She goes, "No, not yet. Almost though." I said, "Okay, here's what I want you to do. The next time you come in, fill in an application. That way we'll have your information on file. So when you turn 16, we'll give you a call." And she goes, "Okay. But the girl that I'm always," I said, she wasn't here today." And she goes, "Okay." And so she left. And then I went and I talked to Will. And I'm like, "Hey, Will, you know the girl we were just talking about?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, "She just walked in. Is she still here?" I'm like, "No, she left. She was just looking for her other friend." And I said, "But I asked her if she was still interested in working here." And she said yes. And I said, "But she's got a month to go before her birthday, before she turns 16. He goes, "Oh." And I said, "But I told her the next time she comes in to fill in an application so we can have it on file. That way, when she turns 16, you can call her up and she can be part of our staff." And he's looking at me like, "That's the 5th person you've brought me." And I'm like, "Just wait." Because I'm putting out all of these, okay, God wants me to explain a little deeper what I'm doing. I am planting seeds. I am planting future seeds. God is going to water these seeds in these young people that I am planting these seeds in, because I'm telling them they're good, they're nice, they're obedient, they're respectful. And I'm not just telling the kids, I'm telling the parents. I'm planting these seeds. I am starting to plant next year's harvest. So, and I had no idea. Like, okay, I mean, I do things without thinking. Like, God puts a feeling in my heart, I go with it. Because I know Him. I know who He is. I know that everything that He puts in my heart that is good, that is, what's the word? It's not just good. It is going to spring forth something good. It is going to be positive. It's going to be, what's the word, Father? Everything that I am, like, have you ever just known, like, something was the right thing to do? It felt right, not just in your flesh, but it felt right in your soul. It felt right in your spirit. It felt right. Like you just felt the glow of God over you, like you just felt that it was that was the way you were supposed to do what you were supposed to do. That's what I'm talking about. When I get that feeling, I don't question it. I just flow with it. That is what God is talking about when you flow in the Spirit. And as I'm talking about this, God is bringing me to 1 Samuel, because he had me turn here as I was starting the video, he had me open my Bible. And this is where I turn to. 1 Samuel chapter 2. And it's where Hannah is doing a prayer and she's doing a song. And she's praying and she is rejoicing in the Lord. Her horn is exalted in the Lord. Her mouth is enlarged over her enemies because she rejoices in God's salvation. What that means is when we take what God is putting in our hearts, in our souls to do, when he opens our mouths and we say the things that he needs us to say, and we start to plant the seeds for future harvesting, for future bringing in, I mean, I am seeing these kids blossom. When they come into my store, they hold each other accountable. You ask for a water cup. That's not water. You shouldn't be doing that. The next time, I'm like, oh, you're the kid that got the soda instead of the water. Is it going to be water in this cup? Yes, ma'am. Okay. Here's your water cup. Guess what I find? Water in that cup. Here's what I see from parents. We're just going to get 5 water cups. And every single one of those cups has soda. What are they teaching their kids? They're teaching their kids disobedience. They're teaching their kids disrespect. They're teaching their kids to steal, to take what is not theirs. What they don't understand is those seeds they're planting in their children. When they get older, those seeds are going to harvest into what they don't want. You don't plant what you don't want. If you don't want seeds of discouragement, you don't want manipulation, you don't want arguments, you don't want disobedience, you don't want a lack of interest, you don't want laziness, then don't instill it. Then don't plant that seed. Don't tell your kids, you know what, don't worry about cleaning your room, just go play. You've been at school all day today. That is their job as a child, is to go to school. You can tell them, I will give you 20 minutes to do whatever you want. Get some food, lay down on the couch, whatever you want. But in 20 minutes, I'm going to come get you, and you're going to clean that room. Because that's the expectation. I give you a breather, you do what I ask you to do now. Part of that is, did you have homework? That homework needs to get done now. Give them a schedule. You get home from school, 20 minutes of breakdown. Or if they're the kids that go to a restaurant after school waiting for you to pick them up, that's their downtime. And you can tell them, all right, you want to come home and you want to have fun, you want to go outside and play with your friends, then instead of doing downtime and hanging out and having fun, do your work during that moment. And when you get home, I'll look at your homework. If it's done, you go outside and play. But only for an hour or two, because then you got to come inside and you got to do your chores. You got to clean your room because you didn't clean your room this morning. You didn't make your bed. If you do not plant the seeds that will require them to be successful adults, to be obedient children, to be abiding children, then you will not be able to control them as they get older. Plant the seeds of God now, not later. But you can always start the seeds at any time, because God can always change whatever happens. But don't wait until bad things start to happen for you to want to change. You know, people don't understand why they're reaping what at this time. But if they were to go back, they would see that they were sowing seeds for the harvest that they're now receiving. So, this group, the young men, so the dad leaves, the girl leaves. We're now, back to the beginning of the evening rush. So we get this group of young men, they place their orders, the parents, I talk to them. I'm going out to deliver food, and I see the dad, the man that I spoke to, with the women that were sitting. I didn't direct myself to him specifically. I was talking to the group. He walked up to my boss, and he gave him $20. And he said, "Your team is amazing. They did a great job. Basically, what I did for the boys that he was in charge of, he came and did for us with my boss." And my boss just looked at me like, and I'm not saying, "Oh yeah, I'm the one that did all of this." No, God is using my life to show you what He is trying to get you to do. Okay? It's not about the glory. I'm not getting the glory, is what I'm saying. Okay? The glory is all God's. But He is using me as a model. He is using me as the example. This is what I want you to be. So that's why I have to speak what I go through. Because He wants you to understand how He has me walking. How He has me looking in front of people. I could have very easily said, "I can't, I'm hurt, I can't move." Instead of looking like a gimp and hopping my way around the entire store, potentially hurting myself. And, I could have cowered in a corner. I could have stepped aside and let someone else do the work. But I didn't, because that's what God sent me there to do. God sent me there to be an example. God sent me there to show how to serve others. You don't serve them. Will that be a large pepperoni with cheese? Okay. $21.32, please. Okay. Oh, you didn't tip me? Well, with that face, why would I want to? Instead of, "Hi, how you doing today? How can I help you?" "Oh, you want a large pepperoni with cheese? No problem. We can take care of that for you. Would you like any wings, salads, or breadsticks today? Oh, you want some wings? And would you like those in the 6, 12, or 24? Okay, no problem. And traditional or boneless? Fantastic. And what flavors would you like? Because you're getting the 24, you actually get 2 different flavors." And then I go, I don't know. Which ones would you suggest? I'm like, "Well, Depends on what you're into. If you like spicy, we got spicy. If you like sweet, we got sweet. If you like spicy and sweet, we got both. I said, or if you just want to go like with a dry rub, you know, we got the chipotle raspberry, we got the lemon pepper, and we got the salt and vinegar. And okay, and so the total comes to $55.62. Awesome. And here are your drinks, and here's your number, and if I could get a signature right here, thank you so much. And then, well, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. $5 tip, sweet. I go out to tables. Who's ready for some pizza? And they're like, I am. And of course, I love kids. I just love kids. And when I start to walk their way and they see, they're like, pizza, 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 pizza. I'm like, you don't want pizza, do you? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me take it back. And they're like, no. I'm like, I'm just kidding. And the parents are like, oh, thank you. Because it gets overwhelming when you have to deal with your children day in and day out. And they're overactive. And, you know, you've got all these problems. And you've got all these bills. And the only thing you can think of is, let's take them to go have some pizza so we don't have to make food at home. We don't have to clean up. And we can just have a few moments. They go play and we can talk. That's all of us. We all have these moments. And we have to understand and be appreciative and be the vessel that God sends. I don't walk away from any penny I see on the floor. Yesterday, I did, because it was on the bus, and I had a big bag of things that God had me buy at the dollar store. And, like, he had me buy a ton of stuff. I bought a dustpan, because there's going to be a lot of cleaning. Like, right now, he's allowing me to sit down and enjoy my coffee. I have to make breakfast, and I've got to do, go grocery shopping. So I got to do a lot of things, but I can get them all done. I will get them all done today. The laundry will get done tomorrow, but I got to get groceries today because tomorrow I have to go to work, and my pup doesn't have enough food for tomorrow. So I got to take my cart, and I got to go to Walmart, pick up some food, and come back. And I can't talk about what he's done so far, but I'm at peace. I'm at peace. And so much peace that it feels like I'm finally getting somewhere. You know, you hear about these prophetic words, and you hear about God telling his prophets what's going to happen, what's coming. And it's not that you don't believe, but over time, it gets a little bit like you're trying to understand when it's your turn. And for me, I have known that it was going to take until this year. Was I hoping it would happen sooner? Oh, yeah. I was. Did it? No, because it happens in God's timing. I wasn't ready yet. It was something that a prophet said that I heard yesterday. And she said that it couldn't come to pass until all of the actors, so if we're thinking about a screenplay, God has been showing me encore. And I'm like, no more encore. Final act. Because I know what encore means. It means more. It means I'm getting a standing ovation from the audience, so they want the performance to continue. And I'm just like, but the performance, but I'm tired. But okay, if you want the performance to continue, I will continue as at being requested. And so I continue. But something this prophet said yesterday, she said, it's the final act because the actors are finally in position. And I started to realize what God was trying to tell me. Because I was obedient and I went to these men, these two men, and I asked them for their advice in asking a man out. Now they are invested in my story. They're like, let's find out what happens. They're, yeah, okay, yeah, we're in agreement with you. I pray that you get this guy. Come on, dude. Answer her. Come on, dude. That's what God showed me. And I'm like, okay. Like, I'm not seeing them do this, but in their hearts, they're like, God, Dana really deserves a good guy. She really deserves to have a chance at happiness. She's such a she's a good person. She's always happy. She's always making us laugh. You know, she's always holding us accountable. Because I do. I hold them accountable. Like, what are you doing today? You slacking off? What's going on? Oh, well, you know, I'm kind of tired. I'm like, dude, I've been here for an hour and it's not even time for me to clock in. Oh, I know, it's just I'm tired and blah, 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 blah. Like, okay. Okay. And so, because they weren't in position yet, they weren't invested in my ending. Now they are, because I have brought them in. I have planted the seeds that there is a man. And they're like, well, come on, man. Because they know me. They know my character. They have, you know, I have a boss who, and I still call him my boss, yes, even though he's not my boss anymore. And he hasn't been my boss for 30 years. He's still my boss. At what point is he going to change into my friend? He is my friend, but he's my boss. And I will always hold him in that spot as respect, because he trained me, he taught me, he mentored me, he showed me how to recognize talent, how to avoid pitfalls of employees. And that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing. And so these men, they know me. And so my boss, Will, when he found out, when he heard that I was going to ask a man out, and he goes, oh, is it a customer? Because there was a customer who left his phone number on the table. And Cassie was like, hey, Diana, this customer left his number for you. And I'm like, no, he didn't. She goes, oh, yeah, he did. And she described how he did it. He wrote his name on a napkin, similar to, this is my tissue paper, but on a napkin, okay, in big black letters. And then he set it on a part of the table that didn't have any trash. So I would know that his number was right there. And the boss heard about it. And he goes, so are you going to call him? I'm like, no, I don't date customers. And so Will asked me. So he goes, is it a customer? Meaning the customer that left his number. I'm like, no, I don't date customers. I don't date coworkers and I don't date bosses. No, not happening. And he's like, uh-huh. And so last night, I was looking at my phone, and he looked at me because he knows I don't look at my phone except to look at the time. And so I was leaning up against the pole that we have in the kitchen, or in the and it's an electrical pole. It's huge. It's like that big. And I always ask, I'm like, did we used to be a fire department? Is that why we have a pole in the in the middle of the walkway? And so he saw me because I was leaning up against the pole, and I was looking at my phone. And he goes, I'm like, what? And he goes, nothing. I'm like, I was just looking at my messages. And he goes, uh-huh. Because he knows I'm waiting. He knows that I asked the guy out. And yes, I already told them that. He said no, thank you. But I didn't say anything else about it. And so he knows that who I'm waiting to hear from, because I'm gonna hear from him. I just don't know when. It's in God's timing. And so so I put my phone away, and so after I'm going back to the work. So after the big group, the Little League team was done eating, and they're all getting ready to go. Like literally all the girls got up and just moved out of the way. And the parents all came, and they're like, oh, let us help you clean up. I'm like, no, that's our job. You guys just go. You had your food. I hope you enjoyed it. They're like, oh my gosh, it was the best food we've had in a long time. And they were grateful. They were thankful. And they said, thank you so much for hosting us. Thank you for having us. Thank you for putting up with us. Thank you for allowing us to take over your store, because I know you guys still had your regular business, and you guys handled everything so efficiently and easily that, it was amazing. And I looked at them and I said, well, just make sure to come back next year. And they're like, oh, we will. Planting seeds. And so I went into the back and I said, hey, Cody, the group just told me that they'll be back next year. And he goes, yes. I said, because I told them that they should be back next year. And they're like, oh yeah, we'll be back next year. And Cody says, and we'll be better prepared. And I said, yeah, better than this year. And he goes, oh yeah. And then, so these two gentlemen were buying beer. And because I know that they like to say that women are the ones that are the hen cluckers, or what do you call them? The hens that, they get together and they're all chitty chatty. Well, these men are the chitty chatty men of the group. And so they're like, hey, let's go get beer. And so one would buy a pitcher, the other one would buy a pitcher, and then they go and they sit down with their group of little friends and they drink their pitchers. And so they're, telling my boss that it was amazing, everything was amazing. And then I come around the corner and they looked at me and they looked at my boss and they're like, and she is phenomenal. Like, I don't know how she did it. I don't know how she got all the orders out and got them to everybody's tables. They're like, she just is fantastic. And I was like, yeah, thank you. I'm getting ready to leave. And Cody turned around and he goes, yeah, Diana, you can go ahead and go. And I said, I can't go. And he goes, you've been here since 10. I said, I understand. But there's a whole dining room that needs to be cleaned up. I can't leave that for Emily for herself. And this is what the guy said. Oh, you're not cleaning. You got to go home. You've been here since 10? There's no way. How are you still standing? God. And so then he goes, bring me a trash can. I'll help clean it up. And I said, actually, we have a trash can on wheels. I said, we're professionals. We know how to clean. So I went, I took out the trash bag that was in the trash can, took it out, boom, put in a new bag, and then I rolled it out into the dining room, and we just, and then we collected plates, and the parents started driving the plates into the kitchen. And I'm like, thank you, God. Thank you, Father. Because God said, you're done. You don't need to do this. You don't need to clean up. And I said, I can't leave like this. It's just not the way you raised me. It's not the way you're showing me. I understand that my portion of it is done, but I can't. I can't leave it like that. So I stayed until the entire dining room was clean. The tables weren't put back. There were still cups that needed to be thrown away, but the majority of the cleaning was done. All Emily was going to have to do was wipe down tables and pull them out and put them back. And Cody said that he would have help for her to do that. And then I went out to the patio because that was the second area where we had a big group. We have seating for about 30 people out there. And people were standing. That's how many people we had out in the patio. And they were part of the bigger group that was inside. And so I went out there and I started, putting everything together. And again, this woman, she comes in and she's like, I'm helping. And she starts taking things into the kitchen. And I'm like, stop. And so Cody comes out and he sees me, pulling things together. And I'm like, Cody, I'm trying to get as fast as I can so she can stop cleaning, but she won't stop. He goes, I know, she keeps moving. I know. So he's got a handful of plates and he's taking them out to the bag. And so then I finish with the rest of the plates and I bring them in. And then I turn around and I said, okay, Cody, everything's done. And he goes, okay, you